We are now.
Did you say there's milk in there?
Yeah, it looked milky, but it's just reflection.
Podcast
76?
75.
75.
75, 505, April 3rd. Been shipping a ton of April Fool's Day stuff today.
Yep, we should have it all. It should all be on the shelf tomorrow.
I've still probably got 50 more on the shelf right now to ship.
Outside of the ones that didn't just buy April Fools. I mean, there's going to be some guys that are going to have to wait for their...
Oh, we'll turn that shit off.
Ouija GB, but...
we built, she cut, I think there's 120 right
No, not the anything that has to do with April Fools, but meaning I bought an April Fools thing, but I also bought a chocolate backpack or something.
Gotcha. I was gonna be like, I just don't get the. It's not like I'm immune to it now. It doesn't go.
Doesn't give it to you? What is that? Is that aminos or is it something else? Is it booster?
Who knows?
You don't know?
Aminos and there's probably 5 things in here by now.
Residuals. Yeah, you're microdosing.
Microdosing. I don't know what this is. They are not stupid. They are tyrants. They know what that. Good day, sir. Good day, sir.
Good day to you, sir.
Liberty Chick. I sure do think.
Liberty Chick.
Think alike much. I think Liberty Chick belongs to Freedom Inc. maybe. Or maybe she's... I know her dude's on here.
Liberty Chick, there is one purple... There's one purple tool bag. So, if you're paying attention...
Not online. Send me a message
if you're paying attention.
And messaging me on YouTube is not the place to message to get an actual
we won't
reply.
see it till...
It's weird, fucking, because I only see the YouTube... YouTube has private messaging. But I don't see it on the computer where I normally am. I have to like slide my phone. It's weird.
You gotta find it.
So Facebook is always the best place. You can do it on Instagram, but you won't get a fucking timely answer. I only use Instagram messaging for shit I want, like when I have no choice but to talk to whoever has what I want. All the Second Amendment stuff aside, here is the biggest issue with banning guns in the U.S. People equate banning guns to not having mass shootings ever again. That is flawed logic. They assume if you make all guns illegal, all guns will go away. Even the basic logistics standpoint. Well, with that said, there's more to this. That's why, like, who's perpetrating the mass shootings? Some of them, of course, are just fucking wackos that are mass shooting. And of course they're still going to happen. But there's a lot of evidence showing that those mass shootings were fucking put in motion or perpetrated or even fucking fake. So, you're right, 100% right. And that's why that shit is pushed. I mean, who are your mass shooters? Look at their voting history of the mass shooters. Look at who they are. Those are all the people they're from those fucking groups that want the guns banned. If you take
Democrat or liberal leaning individuals out of shootings across the nation, your percentage of people getting shot shrinks down to about nothing.
Yep. Even from a basic logistics standpoint, that won't happen. How long will it take to track down and physically go get 400 million guns in the U.S.? Guess what else is banned in the U.S.? Mass shootings. Murder is illegal, and it still happens. People are just savage. Yeah, I mean, look at where guns are banned. They're fucking killing motherfuckers with hammers, knives, fucking cars. I mean...
So when you look at mass shooting, or when you look at 400 million guns, I'm sure that number is... It's... For a long time, the FBI kept saying 350 million guns in the United States. It's just recently gone up to 400 million, but I believe that number is so skewed and so... It's one of those things, kind of like how much money can you stuff in a C-130? We just can't wrap our heads around it, so we keep saying this.
It's way more than that.
The number of guns in the United States is... It's like when they talk about how many illegal immigrants in the United States. It's anywhere from... They say anywhere from 8 million to 11 million. They have no fucking clue how many because they're not documented. And the interesting thing about firearms in the last, let's say, 10 years is manufacturing a firearm 10 years ago was kind of, or maybe even a little bit longer than that because people have been kind of demystifying guns, is it used to be kind of a niche thing, right? If you wanted to get an AR-15, you were going to Colt or you were going to fucking Olympic Arms. You had to go specifically to the manufacturer. Think about how many people are making guns now. Like, legit dudes that are out there making guns.
What demystified
it? I think that once the 80% thing happened, this is what I think happened. 80% went full bore, right? 80% is out there, and people are like, "Oh, I can buy this." And then you had all these machinists all over the United States going, "Holy fuck, that's way too easy. I can do that." And so everybody's making guns now. I mean, there's guys that are now making AK-47s from scratch here in the United States.
I think the internet demystified it.
The internet.
The CNC machine made you didn't have to. Well, I mean, I'm going to say this, and you guys are going to go, "I know math." The CNC made it so you didn't have to be a real machinist anymore. Like, I've watched machinists with an end mill and a drill and like move some metal and push it in.
Yeah, I
the
think that's
CNC machine.
CNC too.
I can CNC shit. I have to have somebody write the program, but really at this point, I'm a button loader.
Yeah.
It's how fast, and then running the machines faster, and the materials. It took the mystery out of it. Because a kid who grew up around a dad who made guns, he knew how to make guns. Whereas a dude off the street who sees a gun on TV or goes into a gun shop, it's not in their head. Think about if you wanted to go build a small motor right now. I don't know where to start with building a small motor. I can go to the catalog and buy the parts and, that shit. But Ford and those dudes, like, they made that shit.
Yeah.
The fucking Wright brothers, they built that shit.
In their garages, by the way.
In a shed behind the fucking house.
All your John Browning patents came from a fucking garage.
I mean, think about that shit. We have it so easy now. Like, any fucking how do I build a motor? How do I build a piston-driven engine? Like, it's gonna show me later tonight when I fucking pull YouTube up. It's gonna be there. I didn't even look for it. My phone heard me say it. Like, we are so fucking. If you're not doing some shit you want to do today, it's just because you don't really want to do it. Like, it's all fucking there.
I had a guy, a company that did engraving. That's all they did was engraving.
It's on Lasertronics?
Yeah, they had a machine shop. His dad had a machine shop, and they did a bunch of making tools and shit like that. But he came to me and he's like, and this was all when it was legal. He came to me and he goes, My dad wants to do a run of 80% receivers. Do you think he can make money off it? I'm like, well, yeah, everybody's making money off of 80%. This is 5 years ago, I guess. And he goes, well, would you buy any? I go, now in my head, I'm thinking, I know these people. They are very upright citizens. They are very, they go to church regular. They're upright citizens. They don't cuss. They don't, And I'm like, so in my head, I'm thinking, you ain't ever gonna fucking make no 80% receivers. I go, yeah, if you were gonna do it, I'd buy 25 of them. Yeah, and then like 2 weeks.
Here's your invoice.
Yeah, like 2 weeks later, he's like, hey, we got all the drawings from Colt.
Oh shit.
He goes, we got all the drawings for Colt. My dad has already found the place that's going to give us just the
blocks.
Just the block, not blocks, but they're semi-cut already. It's the same place that Colt got theirs. And he goes, do you still want 25?
Of course, because Colt's not buying them from there anymore. So
he's like,
they want to make money.
Do you still want 25? And I'm like, at this point, I feel like shit because they wanted to do a certain number. And I'm like, well, okay, 25 depends on how much you're charging. And when he told me how much, I'm like,
oh, I'll take 50.
Yeah, I can do 25. Now, it's one of those things when you actually have 25, you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with all these? Fortunately, I had some friends that were kind of into the same thing, and were like, oh, hey, we can do this, this, and this. And
are they
so
still
it all worked out.
Can you still do lower like that, 80% lowers?
I don't think you can do them in California anymore. I think California passed a law.
Like, do they still exist, though?
Yeah, they still exist. Yeah, you can still get, like, they're doing 80% Glocks, 80% 1911s,
Glocks, out of, like, plastic Glocks?
Yeah.
Really?
So you can still do them.
So it's a block of material and you're just machining out the...
No. So 80%, what 80% means, which is which is cool, which is kind of cool. 80% means it's 80% finished. It's 80% finished.
So on the Glock, it has metal molded into the plastic frame and all
no,
that
those
shit?
all your rails are all pinned in, even on the Glock. So even on the Glock, you could push those pins out and take your metal part, your frame parts out. So it's just a piece of plastic.
All right.
And so that's what it on the 80% Glock. It's even easier. Thing about about 80% Glocks, it's even easier than AR-15s, because on AR-15s you had to get your you had to have the magwell broached, so you had to have somebody take all the material out of the magwell. On the 80% Glocks, it's just pinholes. Like it's pinholes, and then there's just this little piece of fucking plastic that's on top of where the rail goes. So they're even easier to build.
Got it. Hey, pause that for a second.
Pause it.
Somebody's out here.
Okay, pausing.
And we're back in.
So, anyways, 80% Glocks are super easy.
Got it.
And I think it's just all those guns out there. So when you talk about 40 million guns, man,
It's way more than that.
it's so much more. It's so many more guns than that.
400 million.
Yeah, 400 million
Close to
guns.
fun.
Yeah.
Cody Stout says,
Says.
John, what do you think about Enoch being the guy who was around when the pyramids were built 12,000 years ago, before the cataclysm that sent humanity back to the Dark Ages? I'm kind of accepting the thought that we as a people have amnesia about who we are and where we come from. Let me stop that right there. I think Enoch appears many places in many civilizations that are not just Christianity, not just in the Bible. When you look at civilizations from around, definitely there was the Egyptians, it is believed, did not build the pyramids. The Egyptians now exist, and they're here, and they're like, how did these fucking things get here? And that's the end of it. But when you look at all that, you see UFOs through all that shit. You see it in the hieroglyphs. You see it on the other side of the world. There's so much talk of Atlantis. The Sumerians, which were, a bigger person. It's believed that, I believe the Sumerians inhabited Atlantis. Atlantis then flooded, wiped all that shit out. Back when the Egyptians were there with the pyramids and everything, that was fertile soil. Like you had fucking rainforests and shit right there. It wasn't desert as we see it today. It was very, very different. But when you look at all the different pyramids around the world, how did these fucking pyramids get built all over when the fucking world was fractured into different parts? It was not as it is now. Even in Antarctica, they just found pyramids. They're finding all kinds of artifacts and stuff as though it was the same people. You have structures built all throughout the world where people could not have come in contact with each other that look to be built by the same people. You have structures built, doorways and big archways built all over the world that are built in a manner that we can't manufacture them today. They're manufactured, fucking stone blocks that are fucking 300 feet tall and shit. And when you look at how they're affixed with a double dovetail, like an hourglass. And when they measure those, inspect those out, it's as though they were manufactured in the same facility. And we could not do the same thing today. Even the tolerances that are built onto these pyramids, you can't even slide a sheet of paper between them. So while they, in that civilization or that religion, call that person Enoch, you see that same person or the same structures and the same stuff show up all over the world, and other cultures call that a different people. It was said that one man split. A rib was pulled from him in the Bible. The rib was pulled, made a woman. It was said a serpent. There's a whole thing about the Bible explained in 30 minutes. There's a video that is fucking really, really fucking good. It really makes you think. And I remember Colin telling me, we'd gone to a home and garden antique show, and we walked into this bookseller, and he had some very crazy fucking books. He had some books made of human skin. There was a very, very big book that looked like a Bible, and Colin's like, that's not the Bible. That is actually before the Bible. And he was talking about these angels came down, even before angels. If you send me an email, I will post a link, or I'll forward you the link to the video. But that's what we're talking about. Prior to Adam and Eve was there, and then a serpent came in and said, partake of the forbidden fruit. And they're saying that the translation, the word used was not snake as though it's portrayed to you and I, and we know it as being a serpent. It was actually a reptilian type of person. But really what all of it goes back to, when you look at it, it all goes back to fucking aliens. Like every fucking bit of it. Whether you know, whatever type of alien you fucking think, or whatever, however we foresee it, or time traveler, or whatever it is, different dimensional people. When you hear Alex Jones talk about it, he sounds absolutely fucking insane. And literally just 50 years ago, they would have locked his ass up to get rid of him.
I'm surprised they haven't.
But when you watch all these other little things, you're like, maybe there is something to that. So I'm kind of accepting the thought that we as a people have amnesia. Yeah, and look up mud flood too. That's another crazy thing that you see all through history that nobody touches on. Like, and when they show you the photos, literally all around the world, fucking Italy, in California, which would have been the Great Flood. That what they're basically in mud flood they're getting at is that the mud flood actually only happened. Human civilization history is really not thousands of years old. It's hundreds of years old is what they're getting at in the mud flood stuff. And free energy. There's a lot of weird shit. The big andirons and stuff. Like, why the fuck would you have big andirons to hold logs like that when they weren't fucking heating with logs like that? What they're saying is that actually produced energy. We had a civilization. When you look at like Da Vinci and Michelangelo and all that stuff, they were able to do things, and there's technology that's been lost is what they're getting at through there. When you put it together, like, you have little pieces of knowledge and little bits and pieces, but somewhere in there, when you get that little piece, you're able to turn that key and boom, there it is. You just got to do the research. Do you want to go down that path? It's neat. It's very time consuming. Is your life any better by knowing it? I'd make more money by not watching that shit probably. I mean, would you guys watch us if we want? It's neat, man. I love those movies, National Treasure and shit like that. If I won the lottery, like, we wouldn't be out buying a bunch of shit. We'd be fucking tomb raiding. Like, I'd get Jeff some fucking titties and a little bikini, and we'd be tomb raiding, like Tomb Raider. He'd be fucking learning backflips.
Would you get me to? Could I have to?
You can have anything you want.
Oh,
I'd get you that robot dog that would attack you every day.
I don't know about that. My knees aren't.
I'd hire you a little Chinese dude to jump on your back and fucking train monkeys and fucking
those two guns.
Test you.
Perfect.
We could skip the titties. We just get titties all around. It'd be titties for everyone.
Titties for everyone. I don't know.
Humans are not like anything else on the planet. Our closest relatives are primates, but there's a missing link between us and them. Why is it that humans are so dominant and other species not? Why is that? Yeah, look at
thumbs.
We've been taught in school that we've evolved from apes. There's a lot of evidence out there that is not fucking the case. While they do look like us, there was some tampering, right? Some things happened somewhere.
There's a lot of stuff coming out, with this ancestry DNA thing. If you pay attention, there's a lot of stuff coming out right now about.
We don't know what happened.
Yeah, we don't really know what happened. Neanderthals and all that kind of shit. Like, there are tons of people right now that when they do their ancestry DNA, they're like, oh shit, you got some Neanderthal in you, which doesn't fit the prescribed timeline. The other thing, too, what you're talking about here is something pretty interesting. That all of the religions talk about, when, like, John's talking about the flood, or they all talk about these
things,
these tragic events throughout history that changes history. And one of the things you should think about is mass extinctions. All throughout history, all throughout our history, there have been things that have created mass extinctions. Whether that's through a flood or war or famine or fucking whatever, mass extinctions. There's some pretty good literature out there to say that at one point we were down to like 12,000 breeding pairs, like almost extinct period, because of things that were going on. And here's the thing: if we had, even today, right fucking now, 100%, if we had a mass extinction. If we had a mass extinction on this planet in 100 years, you would have people on fucking horses going through New York City going, who the fuck built all this shit?
Yeah, Planet of the Apes.
They would be like, who the fuck built this shit? Because that knowledge would be lost. I know you think it's on your phone or it's in the library, but as what happens in a mass extinction is all that knowledge gets lost. A good example of that is when the fucking, I believe I've said this before, but when the, God damn it, when the 300, when the 300 were going to, when they were going to stop the fucking Arabs from coming into Greece, on the way there, they actually stop at this ruin, this city that is totally ruined and is bigger than anything that they have in Greece at the time. And they are camping there thinking, who are the giants that used to fucking live here? Who built these structures? It's kind of the same thing, John did say about Egypt. It's a misnomer. It's a misnomer that the Egyptians built all the things that are there in antiquity. Most of the stuff that the Egyptians came in on, we're like, hey, this shit's pretty cool. Let's bury some of our dudes here. And then recreated it throughout their timeline. Just copied it. Because it was already there. The fucking Sphinx is a look up the Sphinx. It's a prime example, just like John
Library
said.
of Alexandria, which goes back to Sumerians and Atlantis.
It's got rain erosion on it. It's got rain erosion on it that could not possibly be during the time period that the pyramids were built.
The Egyptians have already been busted. The fucking the head of antiquities, they've already been fucking busted with fucking misinformation. I mean, it's out there. Look at the shit that was just found in the last 2 years that's not being talked about. There's a lot of videos out there about it. Like, they're opening sarcophaguses. Like, they're finding shit in places that it should not have been, that just made no sense compared to what you've been told. And when they're opening it, like, shit springs out. So from what I've read and the people talking about it that I've seen talking about it, including people that were there, think like, what's Venom? That primordial, that black ooze that runs around, that alien thing, right? That's what it fucking sounds like. That's what it fucking looks like. There's a lot of weird shit going on, and nobody's fucking talking about it. And with the internet the way it is, there's a lot of people fucking talking about it. They just call you crazy until more and more people jump on board with that.
There's actually pyramids. There's pyramids just outside of the city of St. Louis.
Yep.
That are
and they're in Ohio too, I believe.
800. They're dated back to 800 AD, and they are as big. The city that was there was as big as London. Had all these people living there. They name a bunch of tribes. They think a bunch of tribes live there, but here's the rub. When an actual European explorer got there in I want to say it was 1532. This actual European explorer gets there, and he's at these ruins, and he's like, wow, this is a fucking big, like, some people lived here. Who lived here? And the Indians that were in the area would come by. He'd be like, hey, whose shit is this? And the Indians would all say the same thing. We don't know. It's just always been here. It's just always been here. So it's kind of like, when you discover when you discover the pyramids. If I found them first and I've been taking shits all over the pyramid, and then you get there and you're like, oh, this shit must have been from the people who built the pyramids. It's not really true that I built the pyramids. I just got there before you. Same thing with, like, when they talk about the tribes that were there for this pyramid. Well, those tribes were in the area afterwards. But those tribes all said, we have no idea who built that shit. It was already in ruins. It's always been in ruins. So
how about where's the other half of the fucking Bible? Like you've got your Bible. Where's the fucking other half of the Bible? Because half of it was fucking omitted. Even stuff in the middle is fucking omitted. Why can't the Vatican? Why can you not see what's in the Vatican? When you go to the Vatican and request information, why can you not request any information after 1941, 1936? It's off limits. Can't be fucking looked at. Can't be talked about. Who has the fucking answer? It's out there. It's just like that whole elite thing, right? If the elite thing, if you knew, it's like when the Matrix came out. It was just a gun shoot 'em up movie. I didn't understand it because I didn't care to watch it. I didn't really give a shit about it. It was cartoons. Like when The Simpsons, I hated the fucking Simpsons when The Simpsons came out, but as you watch it a couple times, maybe there's something to that red pill, blue pill. Do you really want to wake up, or do you want to stay there?
Yeah.
If you wake up, your whole entire life changes.
Do you really want to know the truth?
Do you really want to know the truth? I think the truth is out there. I think we call those people crazy. I believe that. So, are you ready to step away from your life and your bills and your responsibility and go change the world? Or do you want to live in this world and try to fucking be comfortable?
I think
I'm kind of torn. I don't know where I want to be.
My opinion is scientifically, and I know there's gonna be some people that are gonna be mad about this. I think the reality is we as human beings across the board are very lazy, especially when we get to a point where we think we know something. Like we know if I go here, this is what's going to happen. We get very lazy, and I think that's I think that's the way it is in the scientific community. In the sense of when I find this, like a good example would be when you go and look at dinosaur bones, or when you go look at dinosaurs. Those fucking bones, most of that shit, they're just like. Yeah, I think there's something right here. I think there's something right here. If you actually see, like, the first guy, there was a guy in New York City who opened a museum. It was the first collection of dinosaur bones. And if you see the dinosaurs he made, you'd be like, what the fuck? They don't look anything like the dinosaurs that we talk about now. And for people to, once something gets challenged scientifically, everybody's like, boo, boo. I mean, if you look at all the, the dude the doctor that was like, hey man, there are germs, and the entire scientific community was like,
they put him in an asylum.
You are fucking crazy.
The man died in a mental hospital.
You are fucking crazy. There's no such thing as invisible germs that infect wounds, right? So
they locked him up.
Most of when you just look at a lot of things that are cutting edge. Most of it is an accident. We're trying to do A, and then holy shit, we're actually doing B. I mean, penicillin is a prime example. Penicillin, Viagra, those were all fucking accidents. They were not.
How about I'm not a huge dinosaur guy. If I see something, I'll watch it. I won't watch like a whole series on dinosaurs. They're neat. Everybody thinks dinosaurs. How many times in my life, at least half a dozen, if not a dozen, it came out and they're like, we were wrong about this dinosaur. We had it put together wrong. Or this isn't the biggest dinosaur. Or we think there's this bigger dinosaur. Or fucking come to find out, velociraptors are only fucking 3 feet tall. They can't come out and say, hey, we were wrong. They try to push that guy aside. They try to ruin his life because it defrauds. It's not. Maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know, maybe they just fucking threw some shit together and they gave him some pieces, and the ones that didn't fit, they cut the corners off of to make them fit. There's a video called "Things Archaeologists Won't Touch," and the only reason I watched it is because I thought it was going to be booby traps and poison and shit, and it wasn't. It was about how in Central America, the Central American ruins and pyramids and shit, there are things that make no sense, and the story you are being told is completely dispelled by this thing they found. So what do? They planted a bunch of trees around it. Like you can, like for real, like go find that video. It's out there. Things Archaeologists Won't Touch. Watch that video. You're gonna be like, what the fuck? And man, it's there.
There's a good one since we were just talking about dinosaurs. It's probably in our wheelhouse, and most of you will probably remember this. Is just a few years ago, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, just a few years ago, they came out and said, dinosaurs all have feathers, they're from birds. Mm-hmm. When's the last time you've seen a dinosaur? They did a whole thing where they were showing all these dinosaurs with feathers, and then it just kind of disappeared, and now dinosaurs are back to being dinosaurs.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that was Disney's Imaginarium.
Now they're just back to regular dinosaurs, regular reptiles. They don't all have fucking feathers, and they didn't all come from birds.
Yeah, and they're not warm-blooded. If we came back 100 years,
okay,
like
back.
If we were still there, but everybody cataclysms happen, but we survive. But you come back and everybody's a cartoon character. We're on horsebacks, Planet of the Apes, but cartoon characters.
Everybody's a cartoon character? That would be weird. And we were just flesh and blood, and they're all cartoon characters?
I'd bang Marge Simpson.
Oh, come on. She's a total whore. Of course she would.
Yeah. There's a lot of good.
There's a lot of good
Simpson porn out there.
Yeah. I'd hang out with the Pussycats, because you know they were dirty.
I don't remember them. I like that.
Yeah, the Pussycats.
I like that three-titted chick with the one eye. Futurama. You know,
Futurama.
I've never watched that.
Futurama, yeah. She is three-fitted.
I'd make them cut their hair
one
like
eye.
Amanda. Here's Cody again. Had the Axis come out on top in World War II, there likely would be no religion except in maybe Imperial Japan. But you guys realize that, like, what we're talking about, that's what Hitler was after. The occult. They believed that some people from fucking space came down and granted these powers, and by breeding, they believed that they were the inbreeding of the mixing of races and religion and stuff. Because they were not pure enough, they couldn't harness those powers. Like, you guys, if you look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, like, that's what that shit was all about. It was getting those things and spaceships and being able to communicate, and like, they were building castles, dude. Like, they were fucking building castles like King Arthur. They had a round table. That shit's all still there. That's what they were after.
Yeah,
they believe that shit.
The Germans actually. So I know, they obviously fucking Indiana Jones takes a lot of liberties, but the Germans actually had the German army had an archaeological team that was going. They were looking for the Ark. They were looking for the Spear of Destiny. They were looking for Noah's Ark. Some of those guys actually froze to death in the Alps. But they were looking for these antiquities. Like, realistically, hey, we're funding this. We need you to go find the Spear of Destiny, because that's going to change how this war ends. We need to find the Ark, because that's the way this war is going to end. So, I mean, they were actually looking into that shit. And
at the time, the world superpower at the time. Do you think that was just one fucking crazy dude, or do you think maybe there was something to some of that shit?
There was a lot of occult stuff, like Aleister Crowley. The Germans were fucking, like, they used to come over here they would come to the United States in the 30s for occult parties. I mean, and not saying that that's just Nazis. There was a fucking ton of people in the United States. That's why they were coming here, because there was all these people in the United States that were like, yes, magic is real.
There'd be no religion except maybe in Imperial Japan, but all other continents would likely be subjugated by the two powers. The Man in the High Castle book, I didn't know that was a book, TV series, it's an Amazon TV series, at least to me, perfectly illustrates what the world would look like. It's not pretty. So I watched a couple of episodes of the first season, and what was it, Colorado was like the Wild West. I guess I should probably fucking throw that on.
Here's the thing about that idea in itself. It would have never happened. The Japanese did not have the capability. They were actually they overextended themselves when they attacked us. What they were trying to do was buy time to quell the uprisings in China, which they never did. They were losing dudes over in China like fucking wholesale slaughter. They were trying to buy time so they could take over China. They would have never had the Navy capability to put forces onshore in the United States. It's the same thing with Germany. If anything in particular, so for example, the reality is if the British Isle fell, if Adolf Hitler, when he did the Blitzkrieg, had decided to invade England and he had taken over England, that would have made it impossible for us to invade Europe without taking England first. So in that scenario where Germany controls Europe, Japanese control Asia, and the United States is, kind of hanging out with Canada and fucking South America, it eventually would have been a nuclear exchange, because that would have been the battle. The battle would have been who can create the bomb first. The Germans were trying to create the bomb the same time we were trying to create the bomb.
They were fucking close. There's a lot of people that say he fucking had it.
and he was
heavy water
really
plant.
he was really trying to get a fucking airplane that could make it all the way to the United States. That was his push. Yeah. So, I mean,
Did you read this?
I did not read that.
Yeah, that's his next fucking comment.
Oh, yeah.
So, Cody again says, I do not believe the Americans on our own would be able to fight off Germany. Had England and the USSR fell, the Germans had completed a test flight of a long-range bomber and were developing strategic weapons. The Navy and Marine Corps were employed in the Pacific. Had the Japanese either withheld their attack on Pearl Harbor or enjoyed a more decisive victory, there could have crippled our ability to deal with the Axis as a whole later in the war by allowing the Germans more time to deal with the Russians without a second front.
I get where you're going with this, but you're giving the Germans a little more credit than they deserve. While the tactics that the German army used surprised all of Europe and sounds fucking awesome that they took over fucking, they got all the way to the sea in, what was that, 12 days? Something like that. Anyways, to be able to take over Europe as fast as they did had less to do with the Germans being a military superpower and more to do with all those countries still in the trench of World War I. That's basically what it was. It was them still in the trench. When those French soldiers were moving to the front, when the Germans were attacking, they were still fucking carrying the same fucking equipment they had in World War I. When the Germans blitzkrieg across Poland in their tanks, there were Polish lancers on horseback fucking dropping lances and charging at the fucking Germans. That they didn't, people weren't, basically Europe was not ready. By the time we would have entered the war, here's the thing about the United States. We built every piece of equipment that was used in World War II, whether that was to give to the Russians or whether it was fucking give to the British. The Germans couldn't have outproduced us. We would have outproduced them vehicle by vehicle. Plus, that long-range bomber never fucking worked. So it would have been, we probably would have met the Germans in Africa. And my guess is we'd have got fucking we'd have got fucking popped in the nose pretty hard the first time. But the Germans would not have lasted against the United States. We'd have fucking wiped them out. I mean, we wouldn't have wiped them out. It'd have been a hard fight, guaranteed. But you're giving the Germans too much credit. Every time the Germans met an army that was a 1940s army, their success was not nearly as good as those first days in Europe. So, I mean, even the British that were fighting them in fucking North Africa, they weren't the best that the British had, because the British were trying to fucking fight in Greece. They landed all their good troops in Greece, while they were really doing a rear echelon. They were just doing a rear echelon thing in North Africa against Rommel. It wouldn't have ended well for Germany no matter what. I mean, it would have took a fucking long time to fight two strategic wars at the same time, but I don't think it would have. I think it would have still ended kind of the same way, except the British colony would belong to us now. You guys would all be Americans, because we would have liberated you and probably put a base there, because
I bet you can't find a man over there that doesn't wish they were American.
I don't know, but there's some people over there that love Britain. Hey, I'm all for it. I don't care. You guys are the thorn in the side of Europe, because Europe's getting ready to fall to Muslim conquest. So
only because they allowed it.
Yeah, that's because they're allowing it.
Fanta, Coca-Cola, Mitsubishi, VW. I read a book ages ago about the development of the atom bomb and its use to end the war. And it said in the book that the fuse altimeter used in Little Boy was a design produced by Mitsubishi. I thought the special operations executive or whatever, I thought they fucking stole that from Germany somehow. I don't know.
I don't know about
got that.
I don't know about the altimeter.
was a design produced by Mitsubishi. This shit can't be made up, or at least if you did make it up, no one would believe it. Indeed, your point about rich people or the ruling elite are correct. These people live a different life. For example, here in the UK, should a political party come to power and begin to tax the rich will simply piss off somewhere with less tax, as they are not bound to one particular country as most normal income people are. Anyways, thanks as always, and all the best. Yeah, like, so U.S. citizens, it's illegal to have dual citizenship, right? But we all know there are people that have dual citizenship.
Yep.
People with a lot of money, they don't pay taxes. Like, they just don't. And it's not because there's so few of them and we need to tax the middle class. You do need to tax the middle class because there's the most fucking people in the middle class. They do not, the rules don't apply to those people. There's a fucking club that, and we're not in it. And there's another club above them that we don't even know exists. And that's how fucking this is. And it's not separated by borders. It's separated by money. And it's the people at the top that control all of it. It's the same, I mean, it's the same fucking thing. You're betting on both teams. You're not gonna lose. The money I've spunked off in my life. You're bang on the money, pun intended, as you say, if I'd only. But hey, no worries, because I've had a good time. And your YouTube output is keeping the smile on my face and the spring in my step.
That's the only reason. Have a good time, man. You might as well, because nobody gets out of this one alive.
John, episode 72, you're talking about online ordering. I don't know about McDonald's, but I'm going to check their app. But Whataburger app I ordered on my phone, pay with PayPal, walk in and tell them my name and get my order, and they haven't fucked it up yet. So, Ken Schmidt, and prior to that, the two before that were Daniel Marshall. Ken Schmidt, there's plenty of apps, even if the restaurant doesn't take the order, there's plenty of apps that do that. I mean, look at fucking Uber. There's fucking 50 apps out there right now, like Food Uber. You order whether they do it or not, and they pick it up and bring it to you. I'm sure there's apps like that where you just fucking third party order and then go pick your shit up as well. I've been in a lot of fucking restaurants lately and see people come in and just do takeout. I would assume that there is some app that has made that much more friendly for them.
Walmart just announced that they're going to start having their associates, as part of their job, drop off stuff at people's houses.
So
you'll be able to be like, hey, I need that fucking...
You know, Uber's doing that.
I need that shoe porn. And Walmart's going to be like, hey, get that shoe porn over to fucking whatever. And that associate's going to have to hustle out over there and fucking do it. It'll be interesting to see how they do
So
it.
for 3 years now, you've been able to order and curbside pickup at Walmart. You can do it here. Mm-hmm. You just order and fucking, you pull up and somehow tell them you're there and they bring your shit up.
Yeah.
Amazon, Uber. I want to say it's Uber, man. Uber has right now.
I'm sure Uber does
This went live like 60, 90 days ago. Autonomous vehicles that are delivering for Walmart, delivering your shit to your house. They don't even look like fucking cars. It's like a fucking, man, it looked like a giant fucking shopping cart that was all enclosed. And it's an autonomous vehicle, and it delivers that shit right to you. And what
does it do? Just like park in your driveway and then you go out and get the food?
I don't know. It didn't expand that far, but they're using these things, and they're out there right now, fucking delivering that shit. I believe Amazon's got the fucking drones that are already delivering sandwiches and shit. They're delivering on college campuses. Well, I think something's coming because they have pushed 0 to 400 feet. Is not commercial and it's not aviation, right? We used to be able to fly that. That's why you're seeing so many fucking, all this bullshit imposed on these drones. Like the new drones, it knows where you're at. My old drone, it doesn't really know because it's not in there. But when you update the software, which it forces you to do, it now knows. So to fly above 100 feet, I think, maybe, it depends where you're at. Because when we were over at picking up the gym equipment, I had to go, yes, I accept this. It locked me out at like 30 feet. So to fly up to 100. And then to go up to
close to the airport there?
Something. So on this property, we're near an unimproved airport. So when I go to fly, it only lets me go 100. I can go 400, but I have to accept responsibility. And like it's just getting more and more.
Yeah,
and the reason for it is because that is that area that they want to fly their delivery drones.
Yeah, if you're into drones, if you're into flying drones or anything, Jeff Bezos getting into delivering anything with drones is not going to be fun for you, because once corporate gets involved, they're going to create these goddamn airspace issues, and before long, you're just going to be looking at your drone going, "Oh, guess I can't fly you anymore."
Yep.
They'll probably have killer drones that will hunt your drone down, so you can't attack their package drones.
My understanding of the legal marijuana and bank thing is this. Banks are federally regulated, and according to the Fed, marijuana is still illegal. So dispensaries have a hard time doing direct business with banks. They mostly deal in cash, and the stores then bringing suitcases full of that cash for deposit direct to the bank and hiring private armed security as drivers and escorts. Single state, local credit unions may be easier to work with, but nationwide bank chains are different. I hear what you're saying, Greg, but the reason they're allowing this is because they're able to tax it. So in the cash, if they're not depositing the money, how are they going to fucking... Something is coming or something's there that we're not talking about.
Yeah, make sure...
They'll just set up a state bank or a fucking local bank.
Make sure you... Make sure if you're in that business that you get a good tax attorney, and you just make sure you're paying your taxes. Yep. As long as you're paying your taxes, the federal government's going to look the other way about how you're paying your taxes. I mean, when it comes to marijuana, if you're running prostitutes and wherever, they're probably going to want to know how you're doing it. But when it comes to marijuana, because it's one of those things that it looks like it's going to be legal here pretty soon anyways, they just want you to pay your taxes.
If the federal machine gun registry were to be reopened so that civilians could purchase newly manufactured select firearms, what rifles or subguns would you be most interested in owning? If that happened, there'd be so much new shit, man. Like fucking the shit that's out there right now, it would just fucking be dinosaurs.
I would want an M2, a 240 Golf, and a saw. Saw preferably. That's probably the saw is the first one I'd buy just because it's the first rifle I carry in the Marine Corps. But then I would still want the 240 Golf and the M2. There's nothing out there. I mean,
he says that though.
Minigun is cool, but there's nothing out there that compares to a fucking M2.
He could buy that now. Semi. If he truly, really, really wanted it, he would have one.
No, because this is what I think. If they opened up the registry, here's the thing.
You think it would lower the prices?
Yeah, I think it would lower the prices. It would tank the fucking... Like, if you owned a semi-automatic M2, your fucking gun would be worth nothing.
John Molina. Expand the comment before printing. I listen on Spotify and started re-watching old podcasts. Holy fuck.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Holy god.
They're not reading all this shit. I just finished watching episode 37. I missed it on Spotify. But at the end, when John is saying the episode number in Spanish, Skully says, "We won the war. I don't have to speak that gibberish." Hilarious. My father is Apache, but looks white. And my mother is Mexican born, but she always been considered whitewashed because she chose to assimilate.
I love that whitewashed.
She is here legally after all the hard work it takes to be here, and she worked for state hospitals and prisons for decades. She's always been the best at what she does and taught me to be the same way. She's fighting cancer for the second time, and she never quits. She's always looking for a way to stay moving and keep active. Even though the doctor has told her more than once that she has a timeline, she lives as if there's an infinite number of days, and she tries to make each one better. I'm working part-time at O'Reilly's while going to school to start a new career in the medical field. Every day, I see the same people complaining about how it's someone else's fault that they're not number one. I also have tons of customers who don't speak English, then get angry at me for not knowing their language. Both groups of people amaze me. That they continue living unhappy, yet never even try to take a step forward without someone giving them a crutch. My mom didn't know English. She didn't have Rosetta Stone or a nice person to teach her. She struggled and was bullied while she learned and many times taught herself how to speak English and learn the ways. Hold on, let me stop there.
Sorry to hear that your mom has cancer.
Yeah, most definitely. I can speak English into this, and it will speak French, German, Russian, whatever I want it to speak. There's a fucking 100 apps out there. And now they have earbuds. They have earbuds I can put in that will actually translate what you're saying. Imagine being sitting in a nail salon and hearing those chicks and talking all that shit about those fucking white chicks they're fucking doing.
Really awesome.
She was a single mom and managed to get a job, get educated, raise a child, and succeed when she was told she couldn't. I had a career as a service consultant and made good money doing so. Here's part of that, man. Your mom came here with fucking nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
She wasn't comfortable. She came here with nothing. That's why she excelled, and that's why she kept going, because she could do it. And as soon as she did a little, she didn't stop and fucking celebrate. She kept climbing and clawing and making her way to the top. People are fucking comfortable. Fucking our homeless motherfuckers have fucking cell phones. Like, they're comfortable. That's what's happened. As I'm sure Pierre can attest to, consultants who bust ass can make a ton of money, but to do so, I had to work 16-hour days and took many Saturdays as well when nobody else wanted to. I did this because I have a family to take care of, and I was taught to be a good man and work hard. There is no time to quit. Pierre actually just took a job, an advancement, more pay, and I believe he's working Saturdays now in addition to extra hours.
Sales?
He didn't do sales. He's a service writer and still turning wrenches. So after working in Texas as a consultant for years, I came back to California to take care of my mom when she first got cancer. I did not hesitate to leave my job and pack up, and I didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't know where I was going to have a job, but I did know I was going to make it work. Since then, I've started the divorce process, found a good woman with equal ambition as myself, went back to college to become a doctor, gained 2 stepsons, which brings to a total of having 5 boys, and now strive to be healthier and stronger so I can be an example of a man that they should see. It's easy for me to leave a high-paying career to start a new one because I enjoyed the ride it takes to get there. Being the best at my job got boring. Becoming the best is the fun part for me. Sorry for the book of a post. I really just like Skully's comment about not having to speak gibberish. I'm not sure how I ended up on this tangent. Love the podcast, love the videos, love the gear. I wear the belt every day. Love your mentality. Thank you. Dude, fucking thanks,
awesome.
Man.
I just, where that originally came from is John would always be like, ever since I've known John, he's fucking eating undercooked fish. And so we would go to these places, and it's always, John's got to have the most authentic thing you can get, so they would bring me chopsticks, and that would be my thing with that is, we won that war, bring me a fucking fork. But when you're talking about the language thing, my father was first generation born here in the United States, and the situation that his parents were in when they got to the United States, they didn't speak any English. They didn't speak any fucking English. And he immediately joined the U.S. Navy, and the rule in the house was any country that's good enough to rescue us and bring us here is a country that we will embrace. So my father only spoke English. Like, did not know. My father, first generation. So even in the house, like if you were in the house and you fucking tried to bust any Spanish out, he would get his fucking ass beat, because we are here, we are here to be good Americans. That's the point of why we are here. Why would you come here if you don't want to be a good American? So,
I agree. When I'm in the airport, them bitches with them towels wrapped around their head that work at the fucking airport, they should be speaking goddamn English. I sound like a fucking... that's actually the first time I've ever said that, but that's how I feel.
Teddy Roosevelt's got a pretty good quote about,
you want to come be in my country and work in my fucking country, fucking speak my language.
You should be making every effort to be an American, not to be the fucking, I don't know, the Egyptian immigrant that still thinks you're in Egypt. If you want to be... I'm that way with everything. Like, if you're rolling around, and I'm sorry, my friends, but if you're calling yourself an African American, move to Africa, because you're not an African American. You are a fucking American. If you got a Puerto Rican flag hanging in your car, you better take that shit down, because you are not in Puerto Rico. You are in the United States of America. You should want to be an American.
Besides, we own fucking Puerto Rico. You better go somewhere else other than Puerto Rico.
Yes, I just use that as an example, but that's my thing. Like, for a long time, everybody in my platoon, that was their thing. They would be like, "Where are you from?"
Here,
America.
motherfucker.
What's your ancestry? America. I'm an American. I am a fucking American. There's no reason to be anything else. If you want to be, if you want to be an Italian American, move back to Italy. We don't need you. Just be an American that likes Italian food. How about that? That's just kind of my thing. I'm a bit of old world on that, but I think everybody should be able to come here, but they need to assimilate into the American culture and become a fucking American. I shouldn't go to a city that I grew up in, and every fucking sign there is in Arabic. That's ridiculous. All those signs should be torn down. If they don't understand the word for bank, then they are going to learn. If they are not learning our language, then they are not going to learn our customs and our history, and they are not going to become good Americans. Yeah. Sorry, I got on a tangent, and I'm not trying to be mean. If you want to still call yourself a transvestite Egyptian, that's fine. I don't care about that. But you should
go to the fucking airport, right? Go to the airport.
Go to the airport
and sit in the lobby and wait for somebody to land. You can't, because the fucking seats are all filled up by airport workers on their breaks. It's like that's their fucking lobby, and all those bitches sit in there and ramble on and literally have their feet off. There'll be a row of 3 seats, and there'll be a bitch laying in fucking 3 seats. And that's what 50% of the seating in the lobby at the airport is fucking made up of. Every time you fucking go there.
Yeah, I'm very. You should assimilate. You should assimilate to the country that you want to live in. Especially if you are a motherfucker who is fleeing the country that you lived in. So if you're fleeing El Salvador because El Salvador sucks, then you better assimilate and become an American citizen, a good American citizen. I don't have a problem with people coming from El Salvador. I don't have a problem with people coming from fucking Iraq. Assimilate and understand the culture. Be part of the culture. Become a good American. If you don't want to do that, if you still want to be a fucking Iraqi, there's planes that go back there all the fucking time. Unfortunately, you're probably going to need to be in a uniform, but you know what? You can still go back.
Benchmark signs and gifts. Measure the width of the door you stand in front of for these podcasts, and I will carve a sign with your podcast logo on it if you want. Great job on these, by the way. Right on. We'll get that to you. Thank you.
The interesting thing about this, which you guys don't know, should I tell them?
Yeah.
This is all a green screen. This really isn't here. We're actually in the middle of the shop right now. So everything that you see is green screen.
The bunker.
Yeah, the bunker.
There's no preps. There's no supply.
Yeah, it's not real. It's all green screen. So
the underground and the basement to the basement is not really here.
If you really look at when I move my head, you'll see that green screen trim around the side of my head. So it's all green screen.
Thanks, as always, for taking time to do the podcast. Got 2 questions for you. What piece of SOE gear do you guys use the most and find the most versatile? And knowing that Skully likes pickled juice, has he ever eaten pickled corn?
I've never eaten pickled corn. I didn't even know there was a such thing.
That's good. How about pickled watermelon or pickled watermelon rinds?
Nope, I haven't had that either. I like pickles.
Tool bag. I use the tool bag the most. Second most, I use the large tool bag the most.
Probably tool. I would say tool bag. Lately though, it's been the fucking. It's been the backpack.
Visor covers. I have visor covers and everything. You guys want a smaller visor cover? I know everybody's like, I need a smaller visor cover. Motherfucker, I have the smallest visor in the world in my fucking Porsche, and my visor cover works there. But
get a bigger visor cover.
You pussies want a smaller visor cover? There'll be less of them, so it's going to cost more. But do you want one?
What would that even go on? My mini truck. You know what? My mini truck has a really small visor.
But you know how you do it? You just fucking fold that first part in, and then fold it, and then wrap it around. It fucking works. It's always worked. It's worked for fucking 20 years now. Great podcast. You guys have a great chemistry going here. Skully is the man, and John's the proven example of hard work and determination can accomplish. Would love to hear stories of the first time John got his cheeks split in the pen. Got his cheeks... Oh, it's a shit talker. Huge news. Hugh...
Is it?
Yeah. That's the shit talker.
Oh.
Thanks for the podcast and badass gear. What do y'all have on the property that is early blooming?
All the fruit trees got a little bit
all
of a bloom
everything's
on them,
been bloomed for 4 weeks now, and then we had a cold spell. The blueberries, we were up there today because we just
I think some of the berries over here
the
are blooming
blueberries
too.
are starting to flower up. That's really it right now. We don't have a lot of stuff planted that's just like plants. It's all trees and shrubs right now. There's some fucking, I don't know what they are, pecans or walnuts on the back. They're big fucking nuts. And something has cracked them all open into 3 pieces. And there's like a little, maybe they're hickory nuts or something, but there's something in the back. There's fucking thousands of them that are all split open. All those trees I planted on Sunday, we went back and looked at them all today because they have bright fucking orange 550 cord on them all. And there's a couple that are just like the 550 cords on the ground. And there's a hole, like a deer just grabbed it, plucked it up, and ate it up.
What's that nut that looks like a brain when you crack it open?
Walnut.
Walnut?
Wouldn't that be walnut?
I don't know. But
pecan.
I've got 3 trees that in my backyard, this year, for whatever reason, this is the first year, they dropped so many of those fucking things in my yard that there's no grass back there. It's just fucking shells and those goddamn
that's
things.
The tree close to the house.
No, they're up by the barn. There's
okay.
3 trees in a row up by the barn, and the whole fucking yard is covered in those things.
So that's probably worth some money. Like if you had somebody come out and buy that tree, like an actual wood dude, you might be surprised how much those fucking trees are worth.
Yeah, Gina said,
especially if they'll fall and hit your house. Like you might really. I know Fuller had some tree on his property. They cut it and they gave him a check for $5,000 for it.
Yeah, Gina said that she met some older people that were talking about our house before it had when it was just the basement house, before it had the extension put on it. And they were like, yeah, we used to go out there and get whatever we used to go out there all the time and pick those things because they were all over there. And I'm like, how the fuck do you pick those things?
They fall.
You gotta get them on the ground.
They'll fuck your car up.
Yeah, well, they're not. They're up by the barn. They're nowhere. Yeah. Oh yeah.
At the Cedar Lakes, that we had a tree that would they'll fuck your car up.
Yeah.
What do y'all have on the property that's early blooming? For example, Bradford pear and winter honeysuckle. Why would you want Bradford pears? Like they don't produce anything, and they make all those.
They produce flowers, and they make a mess. And you get.
We've got like 80 pear trees we're planting. I don't even know what kind, and dogwood. We're about to have a bunch of that shit, but I'm planting it kind of like in on the sides of the property, just amongst the other shit. So, I walked down the boardwalk. I visited California a few times in the early 2000s. I walked down the boardwalk in a cowboy hat, jeans, boots. Nobody even looked at me twice. I still wouldn't want to live there. Robert Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that look goes, it wouldn't be uncommon to see somebody fucking walking around with a cowboy hat and boots in California.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about now, but it used to be like there was a bar called In Cahoots.
Yeah.
There was one up by Disneyland. There was, I think, 2 or 3 in San Diego. There was fucking line dancing and...
Stampede in Temecula.
Yeah. I mean, there'd be more people there than every fucking strip club put together. Yeah. Podcast 69, the English royal family changed their name during World War I because it was a bit weird. They had the same last name as Kaiser. If you look at photos of the Russian Tsar and the English king and the Kaiser, it is not so difficult to spot the similarities. A while back, I saw photos of English royal marching with the Nazis pre-World War II, and I believe it was some Nazi funeral. Q is very much alive and pushing right along and coming out with interesting messages. For instance, that the Rosenstein guy was actually turned early on and a mole for the Q inside. I'd heard that. No idea who Q is, but he messaged once that everybody would laugh when it would be revealed. Great podcast as always. You guys seem jacked up today. No matter, I'm having a hard time motivating my son, 22 and 15, to get their shit together. Thoughts? Well, the 22-year-old Maybe you should stop fucking trying to get his shit
Motivate him,
together and motivate his ass on out of the house.
Yeah.
Get him to join the military. I don't know, man. 15, that's going to be a fucking tough one. 15's only going to get worse.
Yep, it's only going to get worse. It's tough. Yeah, you know, I don't envy you. It's a tough time in people's lives. If the reality is, if you by the time they're 10 years old, if they're not on
you got
on
7
the right
years,
path,
the first
7 years. But by the time they're 10, if they're not on the right path, you're talking about a serious life event somewhere down there to get them on the right path. It's very rare that happens. So yeah.
As sad as that is, man, do shit in your life that when they look at, they want to be a part of. Like, if that truly is your concern, you can't make them do something they're not going to do at this point. Put the energy into making your life better. Hopefully it's something they want to do. Find something they want to do. Become a part of it. Man, I really don't know. I think I kind of failed in a lot of aspects of that. Just keep doing what you're fucking doing and do better at it. I mean, I don't have the answer to that one. John and Skully, great podcast as always. I've been a customer for a few years now and wanted to thank you guys for making great gear and for making my hour-long commute into Seattle bearable. After working in downtown Seattle and dealing with the drug problem, the homeless, and the liberal, and don't forget shitty music. You guys, fucking Seattle music is the worst fucking music in the world. No wonder they kill themselves. Between that and the weather, I mean, you got seafood going for you. And liberals, I've had enough, and I'm moving to Coeur d'Alene in North Idaho to go to nursing school and start living a little more off the grid. That's fucking a lot off the, like, Idaho. Yeah. Holy shit.
That's cool, though.
You're about to be free. You won't know what to do with all that freedom. Question for you and Skully. How can we fix the healthcare system in the U.S.? I work in the broken system in Seattle and was curious what your take. You're in the health. Did he say he's a doctor?
He says he's in the healthcare and he's going to go to nursing school.
Take cash, man. Do cash business. Don't fucking take insurance. Do cash business. There's plenty of people out there that will pay you whatever you fucking ask to be able to go to the doctor, actually speak to a fucking doctor, and be seen when your fucking appointment is. There's not another fucking business in the world that could operate like that. When I have an appointment with my fucking tax lawyer, that motherfucker is there on the second, and he's billing me. When I call and talk to him for 5 minutes, I get billed for an hour. I don't know, man. What do you got? I gotta pee.
I don't know if we can just summarily fix the healthcare system. The idea of what the Democrats want to do is only going to make it worse. It's not going to make it any better. I just got these newspapers from an individual in England, and the one thing I noticed was all the stories about all of the operations that aren't getting done, all of the medical stuff that's being denied because they're running out of money. It's not going to be any different here if we Medicare for all. What it'll mean is the services you will get will be fucking shitty because you'll have no reason there will be no reason for doctors to excel at something that is just going to be a total mess. I mean, the reality is we pay a lot of money because we allow a lot of people to enter that system that don't pay anything, and that cost gets carried on. I do like the idea that now they're talking about making it mandatory for providers to have to list how much something costs. So, you know, when you say that this trash bag that we used in your surgery is a $700 trash bag, people can start laughing in their faces and going, is it really a $700 trash bag?
How about mucus collection system? That's fucking a small little... When you go home, when you check out of the hospital, right? They give you a tub in case you're sick, you know, you vomit in it. It's got a little thing of a pocket thing of Kleenex. It's got a couple other little bullshit things. That is invoiced as your mucus collection system, and it's $70. And it's 35 cents at Walmart. It's the exact same fucking thing. Mm-hmm. They could have went to Walmart and bought it for 35 cents.
I mean, the reality is with hospitals, they have to recoup their costs where they can. And usually they recoup their costs with the people who actually can pay money. So For example, if you have insurance, that's why that spit thing is fucking $70, because they know the insurance company is going to go, okay, we'll pay 60. I mean, and they're going to get that money, and what it ends up paying for is all those motherfuckers who are going to the emergency room that don't have insurance and don't pay their bill. However you look at it, if you get admitted to the emergency room, whether you have healthcare insurance or not,
we had these two
you're
retards.
going to get looked at.
We had these two fucking retards that worked for us, and they shared an apartment together. And one of them would drink constantly. Like, that's all he did when he wasn't at work, was fucking drinking. And in the shower, there was a bunch of beer bottles. And I think they had a seat in the shower. And the other retard fucking knocks one of these over, and it fucking cuts him pretty badly. Like, he has I believe it was the hand, if I remember right. Fucking good cut. He comes into work the next day. Fucking, he's bandaged up. I'm like, let me see it. I take him to the fucking emergency room to get him stitches. He's like, I can't afford to get stitches. I'm like, I will pay for the stitches. I need you fucking healed up. We take him to Camden emergency room. We're there for 2.5 hours maybe. We go in, and they don't even, like, you could be fucking dying. They're not even going to see your ass until they work the payment shit out or whatever. So we go in and give them all the information. And when we're done, I go back in. And I'm like, I want to pay for this. She goes, well, we'll just send you a bill. I go, I'd rather just pay for it right now. And they wouldn't take the fucking cash. She goes, we'll send you a bill if you gave us the correct address. I go, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
She goes, most people don't give us... I go, didn't you look at his driver's license or what? She's like, we'll send you a... And we paid it. It was like $269 or something that I paid to get this fucking idiot stitches. But they weren't even going to verify where those fucking addresses were.
Yeah, and a lot of for those of you who have gotten a high, who've been unfortunate or whatever to be in a situation where you don't have insurance or whatever, and you had to go to the hospital, them sending you a bill is actually a pretty good deal, because
you can just pay it.
Well, you can just pay it,
$50 a month.
But if you're fucking strapped, they always have a cash payoff. So if you call the hospital and you're like, yeah, no, I can't pay $10 million for this fucking stitch I got on my toe, they will go, well, how
much can you pay?
$4 million. And then you go, not really 4, but maybe, so they're just trying to recoup something. That's the problem with the way we run hospitals, is they're always just trying to recoup something so they can keep the fucking cash registers open, so they can keep buying fucking, insulin or whatever the fuck they have to buy in there. So, I mean, I don't know a good fix. Socializing it is not going to make it better. There's no socialized medical system in the world that produces the outcomes that we produce.
I'll bet you that they're not paying for that shit until it gets used. I'll bet it's like a flooring system. I never did think about that, but I'll bet all their consumables and shit, I'll bet it's just an account where they got to pay it every month or something,
yeah.
And they only pay it once it's fucking used.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be, because you think how much...
Yeah, every other industry does it.
How much fucking stuff would they have to have on hand?
John and Skully, great podcast as always. I've been a customer for a few years now and wanted to thank you guys for making great gear and making my hour-long commute to Seattle. Oh, we did that one. Skully, you are 110% correct
110.
About all the overdose deaths in West Virginia. I'm from Huntington. The epicenter of dope in West Virginia. A couple of years ago, a guy from Akron, Ohio, came here and handed out samples of a substance called carfentanil, which is used to tranquilize large animals and elephants. Well, this drug, as well as the many anodes, mimics the effect of opiates, mainly heroin. On the day, there was approximate 40 overdoses within a 1 to 2 hour period. EMS were pushed to the limit and were unable to respond to all the calls. West Virginia has been named the overdose capital of the U.S. 10 years ago, it virtually didn't exist. The cause was the drug companies marketing opioids-based pain meds to everyone and for anything, with the prescribing physicians receiving major kickbacks. Yes, there was actually in Chicago, there were lines around the pill clinics, like literally lines around the buildings. When legislation came down limiting the doctors could prescribe, People were immediately cut off from their meds, offered no type of detox program, and the fuse was lit for the powder keg. People then started buying from the streets, ordering online, and anything they could do to obtain what they were now addicted to. Then they eventually stopped internet meds, doctors started going to jail, and availability went down while price skyrocketed. Then boom, heroin hit hard, and was absolutely destroyed this city, and a lot of the state. I can say with no exaggeration that I personally know over 100 people that have died and continue to die of overdose daily. Now they are attempting to hide those numbers by calling them heart attack deaths, just to make it seem like the problem is being solved. We know a guy that fucking just OD'd and died of that shit.
Yeah.
In there.
In
West Virginia. Yeah. It's a sad but true reality, and like you had mentioned in a previous podcast, our soldiers are guarding poppy fields. So, they have created a national epidemic and are now pushing drugs like Suboxone for treatment. The rich get richer, the poor stay poorer. This state, and especially this city, has become nothing more than a death trap with no end in sight. It's not just there, man. It's not just there. Jobs here have vanished. I've been lucky to still hold on to the one of the few good ones left. My fear is for my kids growing up in the madness, as the outlook doesn't look very promising. Honestly, wouldn't mind packing up and moving. The population is decreasing faster every year, and people moving their families away. I can't say that I blame them, and honestly, I'm about to the point myself. It's sad because it used to be nice here. Low crime, jobs, the city was clean. Now it has went to shit. Hopefully be to TAC response soon, and to SOE. Anyways, thanks for the podcast. SOE is the motherfucking shit. Keep doing what y'all are doing.
If you have the means, if you have the means, and if your area is really depleted with people, I say don't move. I say if you have the means, start buying everything you can. There's a reason why they are doing what they're doing. There's always a reason. When you see, because this has happened in a couple of places, not just where you're talking about. It happened up in Chicago, where a dealer gave this drug to a bunch of people, and they had like 25 fucking people frap out in a park and die because of the drug. Dealers don't want to kill their fucking... They don't want to... It doesn't make any sense.
When you die, we can't sell to you.
We can't sell you anymore. So, I'm not saying that this is a fucking government conspiracy, but the government, your federal government, has poisoned liquor to kill people who were drinking liquor. And I guarantee you without any hesitation that there are people up on Capitol Hill that are like, fuck them. They're drug heads, let them die. Guaranteed. There are people up there like that that don't give two shits about what's going on down there. And as a matter of fact, would not have a problem with a government program that helped kill drug addicts. It's just like Fast and Furious. More fucking people are killed in Mexico from gun violence than we've lost in all of our fucking wars. All our recent wars. And guess who was providing those guns? The fucking federal government. I cannot sell a 40 millimeter grenade to a Mexican. You don't even know anybody who can sell a 40 millimeter grenade to a Mexican. But yet they were still getting 40 millimeter grenades. That was coming from our government. We were giving them that shit. Why? Because they didn't give a shit how many Mexicans were killed down there.
Here's the other side of that. I agree with what Jeff says, but if you got kids that are that age,
yeah, I mean,
they're going to be, their friends are doing it, their friends' parents are doing it. Like, if you truly are worried about your kids, maybe you should move and buy some property and hold it there, whatever, fucking burn it to the ground, make it dirt, whatever you got to do. It's gonna be a good real estate market pretty soon, but that's the deal. I mean, fucking crack coming into Los Angeles, the CIA did that. They got caught doing it. Fucking, there's some shit going on. It's not just it's not the dope dealer trying to sell some dope. He doesn't have any interest. If you're dying, he can't resell to you. Whatever happened to Tyler? Tyler's a little fucking crackhead. It's not crack. He's meted out. Fucking, his doctor's got him on some pills. The VA's got him on some pills. The psychologist has him on some other fucking pills. Had a kid. I hear from Tyler sporadically. If I text him back right away or message him back right away, I'll hear from him. Every 6 weeks or so, Tyler will tell me how much he misses us and he loves us and sends me some link to a rap song. I'm like, you must not miss us too much. We're here doing the exact same thing. You just stepped away. You can come back anytime. He's not going to. That's the deal. I feel the same way. How do I follow you on MeWe?
MeWe.
You gotta go to MeWe and fucking the same way you did on Facebook and Instagram. Go to MeWe, John Willis. The link's there. Whatever happened to Tyler?
Does SOE? So is
no,
MeWe just John Willis?
It's just John Willis.
No,
when I set it
SOE?
up, you couldn't set it up as a
SOE.
I feel the same way as you, Skully. I care not what color or religion somebody is. I'm pro-American. With only color I care about is red, white, and blue, and pink for pussy, of course. If you do that pussy right, it'll be black and blue for a little bit. Awesome podcast, guys. Can't wait to see the rest of your videos. Episode 69. Wow, Skully, I never thought of the numbers of 18 to 25 deaths in the USA compared to the desert. John, I also searched other evidence of the Bible similar to you. If you believe in math, watch Chuck Missler's Math of the Bible. It's crazy. It goes back to aliens, right?
Crazy.
It's crazy. I'll email you the link. John, also, since Pulling the Thread podcast started, that always fucks me up. I'm like, PTTP, what is that? I always think FTP. I have tried to implement things you show to be prudent. Money, idle time. Last week I followed through on the 5-second decision. When I do the 5-second thing, if I fucking walk over and tell Jeff about it, and I haven't already done it, fucking I forget it until a couple days, like whatever it is. So now, like, when I'm like, I got some idea, I just send it. I send it to one of my 5-6 guys that can do the art. And then I've put it out there. I've acted on it. And then once they act on it and send it back, I immediately send it to my patch place, my sticker place, my t-shirt place. I have to give it to somebody. Once I relinquish it, most of those dudes are good. Like, something's going to happen with it at that point. Then I go over and I'm like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? 5-second rule decision. More people than you know are paying attention to your life advice and stories. Slowly, you will continue meeting Man, they've been fucking showing up in droves. It's neat. Jeff actually got fucking hit up in public.
Yeah, I got accosted.
Slowly, you will meet more PTP listeners and realize that you helped them by losing these hours talking in a closet with Skully. Thanks again for all the stories, and SOE crew for all the work.
Shout out to the guys at the power plant and the railroad.
Yep. And on those notes, man, like, you want to help us monetize this? You like what we're doing? You're not buying our product? It's cool. Just go to our webpage, please. There's a link to Amazon at the bottom. Go to the Amazon link and click on Amazon, and anything you buy, once you click on there, for the next 48 hours, it loads a little cookie in your computer. We get 1% of that. You can at least do that if you're listening to us every day.
And if you're buying stuff from Amazon anyways.
Who's not at this point?
It doesn't add. I have never bought anything off of Amazon.
But you have a lot of shit from Amazon because I fucking got it for you.
I've never bought. Yeah, that's true.
You eat shit at lunch every day from Amazon.
But I've never bought anything from Amazon. I can't break free from PayPal. I mean, not PayPal. What's the other one?
eBay?
Yeah, I can't break free from the eBay garage sale. I love it.
When will the SOE cookbook be available? We're not doing a cookbook, man. Jonathan K21. If the Allies lost World War II, we would be speaking German right now.
No, we wouldn't. We'd still be speaking English. We'd probably still be fighting the Germans, though. Every now and then we'd send a bomber over. They'd send a bomber over.
Once again, they actually were here. They got off a fucking submarine. We captured them. They were here, though. They were in a factory about to blow some shit up. They had bombs with them and shit. The Japanese sent hot air balloons over with incendiaries and
actually killed a school teacher and some kids that were out in the woods in Oregon. Yep.
Or Washington.
That's crazy though when you think
a hot air balloon.
But when you think, what are we going to do to attack the Americans? All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make these hot air balloons and we're going to put bombs on them. And then what are you going to do? We're just going to let them go. We're just going to let them go, and the jet stream will take them across the Pacific Ocean, and maybe they will land. The whole idea is they were incendiary bombs, and they thought that all these balloons would get here. They would land in the Pacific Northwest and burn all the wood, and then we wouldn't be able to fight the Japanese because we were making ships out of wood? What? I don't know. The Japanese are weird.
Do you guys know about the bats? You know that we captured a shitload of bats and put little bombs on them? But what we didn't take into account is they were going to return home, and they actually fucking burnt a whole city down in the United States. Are doing.
Yeah, you can't tell a bat where it's going to go, and so they just go wherever they want to go.
Just listen to podcast 62, and I'm wondering about the comfrey stuff. Does anyone here or either of you guys have an experience with... Yes, comfrey. Spearco fucking swears by it. Heals cuts. Basically, it oxygenates wounds. Rub it into your fucking shoulder. I use shit with comfrey. Lance makes shit with comfrey. Spearco swears by shit with comfrey. Does anyone here, either you know about experience with it? We have some growing in the back too. I have a good friend with an injured shoulder. I have a fucking injured shoulder right now. That the doctors have been jacking with for over a year, and they still don't know what to do about the pain. She is a paramedic, so I don't know if the salves or CBD would be something she could use or not without worrying about her job. The comfrey, definitely she could. And it is said that CBD oil will not pop positive.
Won't pop positive.
We've had dudes tell us it will, but I really feel like dudes are like, I didn't smoke weed, man. That was CBD oil. See, it's in my shampoo. Fucking, it's not supposed to have cannabinoids in it, and if it doesn't have cannabinoids, it won't test positive on a test. Don't take what I'm telling you. I don't have to be drug tested. I don't fucking know.
I also think that if CBD is legal where you were at, because there are some states where even CBD is still illegal.
Even where it's legal, though, it is illegal to use on a federal job.
CBD oil?
Well, that dude that was here Friday, that's what he does. He tests fucking military people. He's an outside fucking, he's a GS rating or whatever. He does drug testing. And he said, we've had several dudes.
Was a paramedic a federal job, though?
No.
Because I'm thinking if you would, at the test, there's no way the test is going to come up the same. CBD oil, if you're fucking rubbing it on your shoulder. And, I mean, I just assume that you'd be able to be like, this is exactly what I just used. And unless you're like...
My thought is dudes are popping positive for really smoking weed.
Yeah, no, I know.
They're blaming it
on CBD oil.
She could use it or not without worrying about her job. Love the podcast. Love the positive message you guys are putting out for the people. Love all the stories about everything. You guys are real people doing real shit. I love the Cobra Riggers belt. I've used the hell out of it several years and held up strong. Thanks for what you do, Arne Whalen. Right on. Thank you, dude. That's part of, like, on the weekends or in the evenings when I turn a live feed video on. There'll be 100 people or whatever, and there's always some asshole like, why are we watching this guy sew? It's not about watching me sew. It's accountability. I turn that shit on while Jeff and I are standing at a table so that you can see we're actually out there fucking working. We are doing literally the menial shit. We're clipping and cleaning. It's a fucking 8-hour job. We stand there a lot of times and do that shit. Yeah. Fucking, it has to be done. It changes everything else, and it frees somebody else up to do something else. So that's what it's about. It's about me doing what I tell you guys to do. And that's just fucking, when you're not sure what to do, fucking always do something. Move, fucking forward movement, work.
Yeah, this isn't Duck Dynasty. We actually have real jobs.
Yep. CBD oil is 100% legal and does not get you high and does not show on a drug test. I've heard countless people rave on how good it is for pain, anxiety, depression, helps boost appetite, and so on. So, I have CBD oil. We bought some CBD oil 6 months, a year ago, right? Amanda got it from a health food place in Jackson, Tennessee. She took it a couple nights. I took whatever the thing was, however, 20 drops or whatever. Best sleep I've ever had in my life. To this day, I still say that. Used it the next night, didn't do a fucking thing. Used it a couple more nights, didn't do shit. 6 months go by. There's a new company out, somebody I listen to is talking about a lot, saying how great this is. So I'm like, Amanda, order this shit. So we order up the one that's supposed to help you sleep or whatever. You're supposed to take a dropper to a half dropper twice a day or whatever it is. So I take a half dropper sublingually, let it sit there for 30 seconds, go to sleep. I don't think it did shit for me. It didn't fucking do nothing. The next night I took a dropper maybe an hour before I'm going to go to sleep, and then another half dropper, or half dropper and half dropper. And I went to sleep really good for about 3 hours, which is what I really do anyways. I'm still using it. I've been using it every night for about 6 nights now. My shoulder doesn't hurt any less. I really feel exactly the same. Like, you could have given me fucking olive oil for all I fucking know. I don't know.
That's actually the big issue. There was a company that just, not a company, but a medical, third-party medical
testing
facility that went and basically bought all the major CBD oils that are out there that are being peddling, and they didn't have CBD in them at all. It's just other shit, your Camphor and other shit in there. We have a individual who makes some stuff, and he did a I don't know what it was, a salve or whatever, and I would put it on my knees, and I could tell my knees actually felt better. I believe it really was helping for inflammation on my knees. And then we got some from our dope dealer in California, some CBD stuff, and it didn't do shit. Like, I put it on, it didn't do shit. So my thought is that I got robbed and it didn't have CBD oil in it because we had somebody send it to us. So that's the big thing. You just got to make sure that you're really getting CBD oil. Is it really CBD oil? Because it's not one of those things. They're not putting a syringe in and pulling out CBD oil. You have to really get these oils, and it's not just as easy as fucking Nana in the kitchen pressing out the fucking hemp.
Here's the other thing.
CBD
it's like vape stuff, right? There's no FDA control.
No FDA control.
I don't want FDA control on it. When you get that, it's gonna fuck. That's not what I'm asking for. But there's no control on it, and a lot of it gets bought wholesale and relabeled. Okay, it's just like I'm gonna tell you something that a lot of people don't want me to say. Protein powder. Protein powder, 80% of your shit out there in GNC, the 100 different brands of protein powder, comes from the same fucking company, because we talked to that company. Same with coffee. A lot of your coffee roasters, private label, comes from fucking the exact same, the same fucking place. We talked to those dudes. I have fucking artwork for a made in the motherfucking USA SOE label, black container, printed on the container, beautiful, right? Then we hooked up with Justin. Justin's doing shit completely different. So that's why we sell that. But there are a lot of companies out there, and I would assume that CBD, I don't know this to be fact, but just search wholesale CBD or private label. Search private label coffee. Search private label protein powder. Private label whey. Private label whey isolate. It's all coming from the same place. Yeah. So Spearco has 5, if not 6 episodes at this point with different people that are involved in CBD oil. And one of them is a doctor, and another one is a prior Israeli soldier out of Canada. And they have interesting shit to say. And what this one lady's a home healthcare provider that deals in a bunch of CBD stuff. And she says that, or the dude says, you actually have a cannabinoid reactive system in your body.
In your body, I've heard that.
And there are 177 different kinds of fucking cannabinoids. And what works for Jeff might not work for me, but will work for Amanda. You have to actually fuck with this and figure out which one. Something else, if you're interested in that, I would look at Kratom. You see fucking really good shit about Kratom, and then you see all it's a opiate and it will make you a fucking addict. You also see that a bunch of people have gotten off heroin from using Kratom. But for pains and shit like that, there's Kratom. There's red Kratom, gold Kratom, green Kratom. I believe it's the way and the temperature that's processed at. One relieves anxiety. One, I believe, actually gives you energy, and the other one makes you sleep. I have it. I've never used it because I'm not sure. It's like buying.
What does it say? Does it have like ingredients on it, or is it
Kratom?
Just
a plant.
Just Kratom?
Kratom is a plant, just like fucking cannabis. It's a tree or a shrub or something, I believe. But because they're not allowed to sell it for internal consumption or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of mystery. Like, they can't send it with instructions on how to use it. So you got to go watch the video, and you see 50 different retards giving you 50 complete opposites. That'd be something to look at, though. It's legal in a lot of other places. not in the United States. And we rub shit on our apples here in the United States. It's completely illegal. The European Union's like, that's poisonous. So
they radiate their apples, though.
Do they?
Yeah.
The European Union in a microwave.
I don't know. When I heard that, I was trying to figure. Have
you seen all the people?
What kind of machine? It must be like a conveyor belt that the stuff goes through and then it gets radiated.
Have you seen all the shit about don't use a microwave? It kills your food, kills all this positive shit, and it kills you. Like
I've seen those. Yeah.
I wonder what the correlation is by rising cancer when the microwaves actually came to be. I wonder where that's.
I don't know, but that's
math's at.
That's a study that would probably get you killed because they're still selling microwave ovens.
Right. CBD 100%, appetite, and so on. Pain, anxiety, depression help boost appetite. By the way, like juice. I love juice. Like juice weasel. I'm a juice weasel. It's a juice weasel, Marty. I'm gonna juice my underwear. Couple apples, couple carrots, celery, some parsley. I just like fucking juice. Right. But most of the juicers take out all the pulp, and they're like, you need the roughage to counteract the fucking sugar. Yeah. Like, and you can live off soup. You can live off juice. You can live off a bunch of shit. Which one? Pick one. It's like dieting, There's a lot of ways to get big. Fucking pick one. They both. You want to get skinny? You can eat high fat and all protein, or you can run and exercise and do pick one.
Pick one. Yeah.
We can both get to the same place, different ways. By the way, John, I was with a buddy and his friend, and we were killing time waiting to go to a comedy show. We stopped at Horton Plaza. It's practically dead now. There are only like 3 stores left open: Macy's, Victoria's Secret, and some jewelry store.
Man,
fucking
Macy's
crazy.
That's amazing that Macy's is still open.
Victoria's Secret is actually bankrupt. They're just not closed yet. They're fucking in chapter whatever.
That's amazing that
I heard
Macy's
Ty
is
Lopez
still open,
say that
because that's like an anchor store that died a long time ago.
Somebody told me also, he's like, the dude's a plumber. He's like, hey, I went to a call this weekend in San Diego, and a dude saw my shirt, and he's like, I used to sew with John in the garage. I'm like, what was that dude's fucking name?
Yeah,
he
get
goes,
a name.
Rich.
Oh.
It had to be. It
has to be.
I go, Rich Poland, and the dude never replied. That's the only fucking person.
Yeah, it has to be.
That is little gay Rich.
It has to be Rich.
That's Rich.
It has to be Rich.
My favorite knife companies are Emerson, Microtech, Strider, Dwyer. I've been to the Emerson knife shop, this is Weston, numerous times and spend money every time I'm at the shop. I've met Ernest Emerson twice and Ernesto a few times. Ernesto's super fucking nice dude. Ernesto gave me a combat cock in Typhon and Toxic Green, half and half. When James Yeager said that they are all wonderful, when he did that video with Emerson Commander he purchased in Cryptek Mandrake, I believe him. I know for sure, now having met some of them, that they are all just like he said they would be. Right on. Weston's in the Navy. He's in San Diego. I believe he's right across the way, or he's with boats or something. John, I've looked for information that says that the ovens of Dachau were made in Ohio, but found nothing. Weston, I actually saw this comment earlier and meant to look that up. You haven't looked very hard, because I've had somebody tell me that before, and literally all I put into Google was, were the Nazi ovens made in Ohio? And fucking tons of shit comes up. And if you start watching YouTube, like Science of the Swastika, there's some videos like that. You find one, 100 will come up. Every fucking one of them mentions the actual manufacturer, shows the plant they were made in, everything.
Yeah, it's kind of a trick when I say that the ovens were made in the United States. When I say the ovens in Dachau were made in the United States, and I'm technically tricking you. So in your head, what you were saying is, oh shit, some company in the United States made ovens so that they could burn up Jews. That's not really what the ovens were made for. They had an outbreak of So pre-Adolf Hitler, it's not pre-Adolf Hitler, because Adolf Hitler was around during World War I, but after World War I, when we destroyed their economy with the fucking the truce, they had an outbreak of something. I can't remember what it was, but they had this big outbreak, and they had no way of disposing of the bodies. That was our solution. We're like, hey, we can make these fucking big ass ovens, and you can burn them because whatever, I can't remember what it was. It wasn't smallpox, but whatever it was one of those things where like, you didn't want to leave these bodies around. We need to get rid of them. And so that was the solution, was here, we got these fucking ovens. You can throw all your dead bodies in there. And then the Germans just repurposed them.
Now, I believe also they bought more of them. When they started killing those people, they started 10 years before that, 8 years before that. They started, it was literally a test. Like, he had this, like, this was the thought all along, or maybe it just worked so well that they fucking transitioned to that. Because he did try to ship them out of Germany, and like we even sent them back. We turned the ships around, like when they came into the United States, as well as Italy turned them around, fucking a bunch of places. The Jews. He started in the asylums. He was killing people from the asylums, and then he started with prostitutes, and then it went to prison. Basically, anybody he deemed that they didn't want to deal with is what it was.
Gypsies.
But I believe that more ovens were actually ordered and shipped over. That company's there. It's still going. There's a bunch of shit about the dude and when he died or committed suicide, the owner, and it's now like that factory's still there. It's still going today. I've looked because I looked it up just like you tried to. Ovens at Dachau, Ohio, not found nothing. Can you please tell me where I would find this information, whether it's YouTube video or a website? I believe what you're saying. I just want to see for myself. So when I say such, I can back it. For sure. Just look a little harder, Weston. It's there, man. And watch that video, Science of the Swastika. You will see a ton of crazy shit. And once you watch any one of those, fucking 100 more will pop up.
The first time I actually saw it, I was in high school, about the ovens. And obviously this is before YouTube and people fucking sharing videos and all that bullshit. But it was actually in a Time Life book on World War II. And it was a picture of the GIs at Dachau with the ovens open. So the ovens are open because the Germans were trying to get rid of all the evidence. And the GIs are standing next to the ovens. And you see that there are people just stacked in this fucking oven. And the silver plate that identifies where it was made and which company is right above the fucking door. Like right above the door in English. That's the first time I saw it. So just do a little more research, maybe.
You should look into the theory that no need were even put in ovens. There's some compelling evidence to back it up. That no need were even... I think we're missing a word or something there. Skully, with all the stories that you have shared in the podcast and others have said similar about, whether it's you watching Somalian shit in a well they used for water or the Marines crawling through a trench that Palestinians shit in, here's one for you I heard recently. My buddy came back from deployment recently and he told me on the way there, they stopped in Indonesia. Some Indonesian soldiers were invited on the ship to see the U.S. Navy life is what it's like. Well, apparently, according to my buddy and another friend of mine that lives over there during the cold months for the northern states, the toilets are different over there. When they had to use the head, they took shits in the shower and pushed the crap down the drain. With their feet.
Does that
make the savages too like the Somalians?
That's called waffle stomping. You gotta waffle stomp that turd down there. That's pretty savage.
Lance had a chick.
Waffle stomp
Lance had a chick. I'm like, you can't let her use the fucking shower. I use that shower and she can't be shitting in the shower. Have her shit outside, watch her shit, and then she can come in and shower.
We had another shit story is I had to do this operation down on the Mexican border. On the Strand. Apparently there was some shenanigans that the Navy... Our side of the Mexican border, but right next to the border. There was some shenanigans that some Navy SEALs were doing that the local law enforcement wanted to curtail. So they decided that our sniper platoon, it was just a state platoon back then, is going to camp out on the Strand. We're going to insert and sneak in, and we're just going to fucking watch for illegals and these Navy SEALs. And so we do this. We go down to, I can't think of the name of the point, but it's pretty close to the Mexican border, and it's where the Coast Guard have all their helicopters. And part of it was we had to swim across this river, this fucking swamp, to get to the strand. And so we go across.
You had to get a bunch of shots after.
Me and Chris get across first, and we go around the sand dune. When we get to the other side, there's a fucking border patrol truck parked on the other side of the sand dune, and we're like, "Oh shit, we better go tell everybody the fucking cops are here." So we go around the fucking sand dune, and when we go around the sand dune, we are now guns. You know, we got our fucking guns out. They've got their guns out. The border patrol guys are looking at the rest of our guys coming across in the water, and they're just in, head up to their necks in this shit, and they're coming across the water, and the border is, because they were still carrying wheel guns too, which I thought was funny, but they're standing there with their guns out because they think it's some Mexicans trying to get across the border, I think, anyways, and then we're behind them with guns, and I'm like, this doesn't look very good, Chris, because you got all good guys pointing guns at each other. So Chris is like, and they're like, turn around. They're surprised that we're there. I'm like, man, we could have just got shot.
Were you like U.S. Marines?
Yeah.
We're here to save you.
We're in uniform.
Navy SEALs, we're here to get you out.
Yeah, we're in uniform and shit. And so they're doing the whole thing. And
you should have been like Top Gun.
Yeah, we tell them who we're here with, and they they contact their fucking headquarters, and they're like, yeah, those guys are supposed to be there and all that shit. And then before they went back, they're like, hey man, you really shouldn't have swam across that river. And everybody's like, what? He goes, all Tijuana sewage, that's all shit that you guys are in.
Yep.
Shit.
Did you have to get hemoglobin shots or whatever?
No, we were. That's
the Tijuana River Basin.
Yep, we were swimming in the poop.
I'll parrot John again. I'll set something on fire before I haggle with a person. I also enjoy getting my parts or whatever next day from a brown truck instead of dealing with Cletus at AutoZone. Bottom shelf slit for life.
He will set stuff on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will set stuff on fire.
I've got a garage full of shit I need to sell right now. You know what we're going to do? We're probably going to fucking set it on fire. Just because it shocks. Like, people watch that. You will see 500 people comment about how you could have helped a homeless person or you could have given it to somebody less fortunate. Well, less fortunate can't even show up on time to pick it up for free. There we go. Hi all. Episode 69. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. A few questions. You guys happen to know anything about Dr. Sebi documentary Nipsey Hussle was working on? I don't believe he was able to heal all the shit he says he heals, but seems to be a nice documentary on the off-road topic. You guys know about the Sherp. People don't sell all to one client. They are just scared they are selling way too cheap. Take care all.
Yeah,
that Russian thing.
Yeah, that Russian thing. It's pretty badass, but it's area specific. So when you're in Siberia, it's either frozen or it's a fucking swamp, and that thing probably goes about 10 miles an hour. Cool truck there though.
Somebody says, "What the fuck is Nipsey Hussle?" Another dude says, "The rapper that died today." He didn't die today. He was killed. Somebody walked into his place of business and shot him 6 times. It was on the news. American rapper that was shot. Yep. Sure looked like a hit. Who knows? Yeah, no idea. Seems kind of crazy. Reports are quite mixed on the subject. I have actually seen nothing on it because I have not looked. I'm trying to stay removed from all news media shit like that. I'm off Facebook. The only time I get on Facebook is when I get in bed at about midnight. I look through mostly like my page, or I look at a couple oddity page closed groups. I'm really not looking at feeds, just because it changes my dynamic through the day. I'm trying to wake up an hour early, and before I actually leave to go to the gym or go anywhere, I'm trying to spend an hour with no electronics whatsoever. It definitely does change things. The things you think about are not always as productive, but it's shit that you would not fucking take into concern or try to work the problems out in your head. And not that it's bad shit, you just don't address them, because the first thing that we would be looking at if I picked my phone up would be Nipsey Hussle or whatever it was. Skid steer forks are almost worthless. Anything that has much weight will cause the skid steer to tilt forward. Just buy a forklift. You guys will end up using the shit out of it. Actually, we don't need a forklift. We don't need a forklift. Like, we're not in a position where we need that. We occasionally need to move some shit. We actually have a battery-powered push-around forklift.
Which works great as long as you're inside.
We just can't take it out in the gravel. It's just literally too fucking heavy once it's off smooth concrete. So for something like that, that would work. Like, when we say forklift, we're talking about, like, we could do the same thing with a hay spear. Like, we had to move a big, huge, fucking soaked, wet, rotted thing of bale of hay that was fucking as tall as me yesterday. We had, like, 200 rail ties we needed to stack back up, which we did yesterday. Jeff and Bill did.
Bill did most of it.
Stuff like
I
that.
just supervised.
Picking up a shipping container.
Yeah, picking up a shipping
This fucking thing we rented yesterday, it's a big, huge 4-wheel with a boom that extends. It'll pick a shipping container up long ways, sideways, and drop it right in place. That's the kind of stuff. We had a heavy weight bench up 8 feet on top of some racking out there, and Cody moved our thing over there today and put it under and lifted it up and brought it down and put it right in my gym area. We've spent the last 3 days, hours every day, just completely going through and organizing the garage. We brought in another shipping container, stuff I don't want to throw away, but stuff I don't like need, if that makes any sense. That's what we're doing. So pause the podcast at the 5-minute mark and order 2 of the AK t-shirts. Right on. A lot of those are gone.
Yeah, those are going quick, boys.
When
Space Force.
When they inject our dead babies into our body, I cut a line into the earth and say goodbye. It was terrific. Known you, I'm saving everything but you. Gray Wolf, man.
There you go. Is that Gray Wolf again?
Yeah.
Man,
dude, awesome. You gotta fucking just talk normal. I don't have time for philosophical bullshit or poems or touchy-feely shit. I have a penis. Talk to me like you have one also, and we'll do fine.
Maybe Grey Wolf is a girl.
I don't give a fuck who it is.
Maybe it's a girl.
Like, speak goddamn fucking bullet points would be better. Liberty Chick says they already doing that. Look up the ingredients in the MMR vaccine. Aborted male fetuses. You can Google it. Or if you have kids and they are getting the vaccine, go ahead and ask the doc to see the little pamphlet that comes in the box with the vaccine. Look it up if you don't already know.
They don't. So when you say aborted male fetuses, they don't use aborted male fetuses. They use a cell line. So they use a cell line from an aborted male fetus from 1960. So they're using that cell line. They just keep duplicating that cell. There's actually, I believe it's rubella, the rubella part of the MMRI, there's actually one lady that they used her cell line, and they say because of that she will live forever, even though she died 20 years ago or whatever.
Great, does her no good.
Yeah, it does her no good, but they say because they're using the cell line for the vaccine,
awesome.
She will live forever.
I'm going to rip your heart out because I fucking need it, so you'll live forever.
You'll live forever. Hey, Richie Rich.
Today is April Fool's. Took me about 4 months, but I finally saved up enough to order a day pack. Right on, dude. Thank you.
Is that an April Fool's, though? Are you tricking us? You didn't
Very
really
excited to get... No, I put an order number.
Oh.
Get this and use it at Blade. I also got my St. Patty's Day pouch today. That little giveaway pouch with it is awesome. Thanks, guys. See you at Blade. Right on. James Devaney production 23 hours ago. James Delaney Productions. Wow. Never actually thought about the possibility of England falling during the war and the repercussions. Great episode. Just discovered your channel and I subscribed. Would love a sub back. Looking forward to the content. I have a podcast too and do comedy. Right on. James, man, I will forget all about this in about fucking 30 seconds. What you should have told us is I have a podcast and this is what it's about.
Yeah, and how do I find your podcast? Is it just James Devaney?
Yeah, you would just go on this thread and click there and it'll go to his page.
I'm not technical savvy.
With the first truck and everyone since, come to think of it, I was constantly getting requests from friends to help them move or deliver shit. That's why I told Jeff. I go, "You getting a trailer?" He goes, "No." I go, "That's good. Nobody would be like, hey, can you come
Can
do
you
this
bring
out
your
on my
tractor
property?"
over here?
A friend was redoing his own roof. I went to Maynard's Home Depot type store to pick up the singles he paid for. The lot guys loaded the forklift, drove it to my truck, and gently placed the stack back on the back of my truck. Everything looked great until the forklift operator let the entire weight of the shingles sink on the bed.
Yeah, those fucking
The
shingles.
rear
are heavy.
bumper sank 5 to 6 inches. The tire was barely an inch away from the arch in the wheel well. The forklift guy looked at me and said, "I bet you don't want to drive around like that, huh?" I said, "Nope." They pulled half the stack off and it was fine. But while they were unloading, one guy turned to the other and said, "I thought the front wheels were going to come off the ground when you put the stack down."
Yeah, those shingles are fucking heavy.
Liberty says, "I'm wondering the same thing Skully is. How does the 69 work?" Laugh my ass off. "Hey guys, ordered from you early Friday morning and just got it in the mail today. Thanks for the lightning fast service." Well, I happen to know you're married, so you guys try that out tonight in a bunch of different fashion, and you let us know, Liberty. All right.
Is that the last one? That's the last one.
That's
Oh,
yesterday's.
yesterday's.
This is today's here.
Today's. Look at that.
But
Stack of Palooza.
we went 2 hours today. So.
Oh my god, we're in 2 hours?
All right,
That
guys.
seemed like so much fun.
We got. I still got a table full of shit to clean, boxes to ship. We're cutting a ton of shit, so
We will see
I've
you.
still got at least 5 hours of work tonight. Holy shit, my legs are sore.